Okay, so this is a series I'm starting on Bedfight tips and tricks and how to win in it, how to get better at Bedfight, and how to just improve and come to a point where you can continue to improve and reach your goals. So the first one in this series we'll be talking about going to be bridging. And so usually most people think this is pretty simple, but others might think it's more complicated. So we're going to start out. First, I usually like to go one block and then go 2 blocks up. That way you start off 1 block higher than your opponent and you can get to top bridge much faster, and then immediately go into double, 2 stacking, and speed bridging. So if you do anything fancy, you can, but generally it's not going to be consistent and you are going to probably fail. And so this is what people have found the most consistent and what works best for them. So that's what we're going to use, and that's what I'm going to teach, is just normal plain 2 stacking, how to do it, and how to use it to your advantage in a Bedfight game. Okay, so there's many types of different bridging methods and things you can use to your advantage, but the simplest and the one that will be most effective in Bedfight is going to be just normal speed bridging. So to speed bridge, and we're going to start out with normal speed bridging, not 2 stacking. You are just going to hit shift on the edge of a block. You're going to click once. You're going to let off shift, move to the side using either S and D or S and A, and that depends on which direction you're facing. If you're facing this direction, you're going to be using S and A, and if you're facing this direction, you're going to be using S and D. And so you would be clicking once every time you get to the edge of a block, and slowly you're going to improve until you can do it as fast as you want to. And it is completely up to you the speed at which you do it. So once you've mastered normal speed bridging and can do it somewhat consistently at least, that's when you want to move on to 2 stacking or going upwards, etc. So to do that, we're going to first do it like a normal one. We start with 2, we place 1 more, and we jump on top and add it. So what that'll look like is you're going to speed bridge 2, you're going to jump up, speed bridge 2, jump up, speed bridge 2, jump up. And you're going to repeat that and just continue doing that for Bedfight in specific. So that's what we're going to try, and what will tend to work the best in Bedfight. Now, there are a ton of ways using speed bridging for your advancement and improving in it, but 2 stacking is generally the way to go. If you want 1 stack, you can, but if you test it, you'll see that 1 stacking, you're moving slower up, and later on it'll become a problem whenever you're trying to face opponents that know how to play well and will be able to beat you much more easily with a 1 stack than if you're, say, using a 2 stack or something. So what we would like to do and what you want to learn is 2 stacking first, so then you can continue to use it throughout your Bedfight journey. So with 1 stacking, as I mentioned, it is slower whenever you're trying to move up it later, and so 2 stacking, you can go up at pretty much full speed and not have to worry about being slower than your opponent going up a bridge if you die at the same time, or if you're about similar times at dying, and so you're getting to the top as fast as you can. With 2 stacking on some of the shorter maps with shorter rushes, obviously this one's a pretty long rush, and so it doesn't really require like having to 2 stack fast or anything, but on shorter rush you'll want to 2 stack fast for sure, because it's going to allow you to get to the top before your opponent instead of after, if they are 1 stacking or if they are just bridging more slowly than you are. And if they're bridging faster, then they get to the top, and then they have a slight advantage with high ground. Now, it can be used to your advantage with low ground, obviously, and you can play it cringe, or you can continue to use high ground to your advantage and actually defend against low ground players better. And so that would be what's recommended, and what I would suggest doing, especially when you're starting off, is to try to get to the top as fast as you can, because it will help you later on in improving in Bedfight, and will make your life much easier if you already know how to 2 stack and how to get to the top as fast as you can, essentially. Another advantage to 2 stacking is if you are, say, lower and you're trying to get up here to your opponent. You can essentially wall run, like in other game modes such as Bridge. You can wall run along a 2-stack much easier than 1-stack. If you're 1-stacking, you end up just doing another 1-stack, making it slightly more slow and a little bit more difficult to navigate than just doing it like a 2-stack to begin with. Now, obviously, we are starting out with the extremely simple techniques and the things you need to learn, essentially the basics, to even start playing Bedfight, not necessarily what will be the most effective ways to win, or things that are new and not discovered yet, etc. All of these things are more the trick part of it, instead of just being normal tips and ways you can improve and what you need to start out with to just begin your Bedfight journey and to begin getting better at it and just improving in general in this game mode. So that's pretty much it for the first episode. Obviously pretty simple, it's not extremely complicated, but we're just starting out with what you need to learn before you even start playing and before you even try, pretty much. Without these kinds of things already learned, you're just going to pretty much be at a losing advantage from the beginning, or perhaps just not being able to play at all if you can't even bridge. So these are important things to know and important things to learn and important factors to consider and use to your advantage. So that would be like an example of wall running. If you are trying to get back to the top and your bridge is covered up by someone, then that would be one of the advantages to 2-stacking. Okay, so I'm going to show some other bridging methods you can also use and what could be helpful in specific circumstances. One of them is, so what you learned with 2-stacking, where you're doing 2, place a block on top of the 3rd block whenever you're first starting out, and then it's just 2, place a block, 2, place a block, 2, place a block, 2, place a block, essentially. And so instead what you'll be doing is you'll be doing what's called a 1-stack instead of a 2-stack, where you are going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, just one by one. It's just essentially just a staircase, and is also an important aspect to learn. And you might start out doing 1-stacking by just crouching, and that's fine, but eventually you'll learn 1-stack with sprinting, or with out crouching, and just being able to crouch and then uncrouch just like you would with a normal speed bridge. And so that's just one of the things you'll have to learn with this method, and one of the things that will also help you later on in specific circumstances. Again, I would much advise to do a 2-stack instead, as it is more effective, especially at the beginning. But say you have a 2-stack like this one, and you're trying to get up it quick, or you're trying to get up closer to your opponent if they're over it, you could 1-stack. Or say your opponent, you fell off bridging while you're 2-stacking, your opponent's already on top of you pretty much, they're much higher than you are, you don't have enough time to 2-stack, then you can just immediately start 1-stacking and get up to their level much quicker, and perhaps even later make a 2-stack or make what's called an extension on this bridge so that it's easier to get up it, and perhaps a little bit more simple. Again, it's not necessary, but it is just helpful, and but is not something you will generally use, and so that's why I would definitely use a 2-stack and learn that first before you start learning 1-stacking or staircasing or things such as that. So whenever you do end up getting the height limit with the 2-stack, you have to get a feel for the height limit. Most of the height limits are similar on the maps, so you'll just kind of place a block there and not continue to move forward that way. If you're at the top of the map, it'll just disappear, you'll fall back on your block, you'll be fine. But if you continue moving forward, then it could fall off the map. So just be wary of what the height limit is, and then once you get to the top, just do a normal speed bridge without any type of staircase or upwards movement.